Welcome to Books, Kids, and Creations, a part of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. I am your host, Tracy Bloom, and I feature people who inspire and uplift future generations with their work. Today, coming from Michigan, which is my neighbor to Ohio, is Maria Dismondy, and she is a phenomenal author and CEO and founder of Cardinal Rule Press, a publishing company based out of Michigan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is exciting.
Yes, it's not every day that I get to talk to somebody who is an author, but also a CEO and a publisher. I have so many questions. So I know that you published your first book in 2008.
Correct.
But leading up to that, what was your journey like as a writer?
Yeah, the journey started when I was in kindergarten, and I received a diary that was precious moments, and I had a lock and a key, and I began writing every single day about the weather. And that's where the writing journey began. The weather, literally. And so I just, I started there. That's kind of where I learned to write. But honestly, somewhere through my childhood, there started to become some dysfunction, some trauma in my life. And I found that writing was really a release for me. It was a way for me to share my feelings and to get those thoughts and feelings out, almost like talking to a therapist. Nobody else could read it. It was private. So that's really where it began. And I have 23 diaries that are completely filled through the years. And I've continued to write in diaries or journals, I should say, with my 3 children. So we have Mom and Me diaries that I've started when they were became writers around 5 or 6, and we write back and forth to each other. So it's something that I've definitely kept up. It's just very therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
So that's where it began. But not to bore the listeners, in 2006, I was teaching 1st and 2nd grade, and I saw that there was a lack of realistic fiction books for children. I really, I used books to teach, and I would have these morning meetings where I would bring children to the circle carpet, and we would have this conversation around books. And I just thought, gosh, there aren't enough books with kids. So that's when I wrote Spaghetti in a Hot Dog Bun. It was published in 2008. We got a lot of really positive feedback about the book, so I continued writing. And at some point around 2011, you can see the timeline.
Yeah.
We were growing our family, and I decided to resign from teaching because in order to do both well, I only could do one or the other. And so, gosh, I've written 11 books, and then somewhere down the line, I decided I kind of wanted to take the limelight off of me, and I wanted to share that with others. And I started Cardinal Rule Press.
That is such a cool journey because, a lot of authors, they go through the process of creating their own books, and then to have that pause and go, I really want to help other people do this too. What were some of the challenges of starting your own publishing company?
Yeah, I guess, well, at first I didn't really want to. And I had a business coach who basically told me, this is your next step. Like, this is for you, do this. And I was like, no, I don't want to be a business owner. That just sounds too hard. So I think I didn't believe in myself. At the very beginning, I thought, gosh, I went to school to be a teacher. I got a master's in curriculum and research. I don't know anything about business. So I self-taught through podcasts and through webinars and through reading. I learned how to start a business. So it had a lot of challenges. I remember financially one time I overpaid someone and I had to ask for money back. Like, I've got great embarrassing stories.
Yeah. Well, but oh my gosh, all the things that you've created and you've overcome, and the doors you've opened for other authors too. Now it looks like you have 2 imprints under Cardinal, excuse me, Bucket Filler Books and Violet Street Books. How did those imprints come to be, and what do they represent for you?
Yeah, I'm looking behind me because I'm just trying to see if the book isn't within reach. I being a parent, I think one of the hardest things for me was that there's just so much information out there, and there wasn't this like manual that you could just open up and be like, okay, this is proven research of things that I can do with my child that are going to help them develop character and grow into a great human being.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't going to put me to sleep. That wasn't too scientific. So that's when I personally wrote Sunnyside Upbringing, which is a month by month guide. And it really talks about different character traits that our children, you know, aren't born with, that are important, but that are important for them to have in the world. And it's just very holistic. So it talks about things you can do at the dinner table to encourage and instill those traits and habits, things you can do while you're driving in the car. I'm a working mother, so I didn't want to make it unrealistic. It's a very realistic book. So with that, I said, okay, well, maybe I'll try the journey of nonfiction. So that's where Violet Street came in. And then again, these things it's like the universe puts these things out there, and you can ignore them as much as you want, but then it becomes, I think Oprah said, sometimes it's a whisper, and then all of a sudden it's like a rock falling on you, like you have to do this. So I had a friend who owned a publishing company, and she was sharing with me that she was thinking about retiring. And my husband is the one who said you should buy her company. And I was like, oh no, I can't do that. I don't even know how to do that. And so with some pushing, that's where that kind of happened. And that was the bucket filler books.
That's amazing. That's so neat. And so then, like, I noticed a lot of themes with your books. I mean, everything that you represent is helping to make a better society, a better human, a better, you know, people with more kindness, more empathy, less bullying or no bullying, all these things. So was there something in your upbringing or in your life that made you go, I want this to be my brand and what I put out there?
That is the $1 million question today. Yeah. Really. It really is. You know, it was, I mean, as a child, you can see my big curls here. Yeah. As a child, I was teased for having curly hair. I was teased for having a very unique palate. I eat spaghetti and hot dog bun. I really do. So that was the inspiration to write that book. And then I was part of a drowning. I don't know how to say that. I was a witness to a drowning. And that was in 2009. And that, I guess 2008 or 2009. And that really changed who I was. I was able to save 2 people, but one drowned. And it was just a really big moment in my life. I was a bystander. And I heard the cries for help. And at first I ignored them because, you know, teenagers are always out on our lake in the summertime, doing silly things. And so it really taught me about how we can either stand by or we can stand up and say something's wrong and we need to do something to fix it. And so that changed my life. And I wanted to empower children to know that you can do something to help someone else, even if you're not really sure how. And now with everything going on, I'm just so passionate about how can we, with our books, make a difference with everything that's happening in the world with school shootings and gun violence. And if you really rewind and look back at those, at the shooters, at their lives, if you rewind and you think of early intervention, a lot of times it started out on the playground when they were being isolated and excluded. And so for our company, we're thinking, well, gosh, how can we reach those children with these books and teaching them that, you know, even the bystanders, like if you see someone alone, play with them, encourage them to be part of your group. So anyways, we're really brainstorming a lot right now. And that's kind of the path we're taking, is what can we do to help children early on?
That's incredible. And I talk to a lot of people who have these horrific experiences that end up blossoming into something beautiful. Like, you know, you had this traumatic experience and you in turn, you know, you witnessed it and you processed it, but then you turned it into something wonderful that can help others. So like, yay for you.
Thank you.
Amazing. It's so great.
Look,
so,
I'm blushing.
But I mean, as a writer, I mean, you're a creator and a writer. Do you also keep your own side projects going, or are you strictly publishing now?
Oh, that's another good question. So I was strictly publishing, and after I purchased the company last year, Carol came to me and said, she's retired, but she came to me and said, I think you and I should write a book together. So we did. I know we did. And it's going to be coming out this year. And so I don't think I'll be going down that path. I'm not opening up the can of worms to continue writing, but I thought that was a really full circle moment for us. We started out as colleagues, as writers together, and then I purchased the company. She's retiring. And so it's very full circle for me. All of her books, the bucket filler books, are nonfiction, right? They're really teaching children how to be a bucket filler. They're teaching them what that looks like to be kind. So the book that we wrote is realistic fiction. So it's taking that how-to and putting it into a story. So it's a story of a little boy who is a bucket filler. So it feels very full circle, and I'm very excited about it. But I have found, I'm 44, and I have found that to do well, I have to be focused. And so I don't want to have so many hats that I'm wearing. So yes, this book is going to be coming out, but then I'm going to go back to that, publisher hat that I've been trying to grow. And I don't want to say perfect, because I don't believe in perfection, but
Yeah. It's your baby.
Yeah, to improve.
Yeah, improve. So I always wonder, because it's rare that, as an author, that you get to speak directly with the owner of a publishing company. Like, this is like a big deal. So how do you select what you're going to bring on? I'm sure you just get inundated with pitches and books and scripts. And how do you filter that?
Yeah, it's definitely a process that we've had to kind of develop over time. But it starts with a cover letter, which in the publishing industry, it's called the query letter. And really being able to take a look at a cover letter, that kind of allows us to either read the manuscript or not. So we don't read every manuscript that comes across our email inbox. So if somebody in their cover letter talks about this story that is, science fiction that they've written, that's not what we publish. So we're very niche, realistic fiction. So all of our stories have human children and things that can really happen. So that's kind of the first part of the process.
Yeah.
And then we have done audits on our catalog of books. So we get together as a team and we say, okay, what are kind of the missing pieces, right, and how can we fill those gaps? So we knew that we wanted to represent differently abled children. So we have a book coming out called Hide and Shush. And it is about a little girl who has Down syndrome. So we look for gaps in the system. And then once we kind of find some of those titles, we then do market research. So are they overly done? Are the titles that we're looking to publish, are they overly done in the industry? Is this unique to the industry? So we narrow it down from just over 1,000 down to 10.
Wow.
And the final part of our process is we have a set of beta readers that we have sign non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, and they read. So we have a teacher, we have a literary specialist for children, parents, grandparents, and we have kids read the book. So we have about 10 people read the books and give us their feedback. And it's interesting because sometimes the books that my acquisition editor and I absolutely love, the kids aren't gravitating towards that. And that's something to take into consideration, because we're writing for children, we're not writing for adults.
Right.
So that's really been helpful. And so then we get it down to 10, and the number of books we publish is small. So it's anywhere between 4 and 6. And so we make that selection and then we move forward.
That's such a great process. And it just shows how careful you are with what you're bringing on and what you're putting out. So it just is such a huge testament to who you are and what you represent. What are some goals that you have for this year as a brand and as a company?
Oh, yes. So we started last year, and we are taking our popular titles and we are translating them into Spanish.
Oh,
So
that's a challenge.
It is. We released 4 last year, and I believe we'll be releasing 5 this year.
Yeah.
So I actually just found a new translator, and she just translated 1 book this week for us. So that is a new goal for us. And with that, we are also working with foreign rights agencies to, sign away rights to, let's say, maybe like a simplified Chinese publisher who wants to publish our books in their countries. So that's kind of, we're expanding globally is our 2023 goal, is to kind of get international.
That's incredible. And, a lot of my stories that I write are in rhyme. And I didn't realize how difficult it was to translate until I tried to do that with someone. And they were like, you write in rhyme, and it's darn near impossible for the story to translate over to Spanish. And it just kind of,
I never thought of that. Oh, interesting.
The story completely changed when they tried to translate it. And I was like, okay, going forward, any story that I envision as, future translated, I'm not writing it in rhyme anymore.
Interesting. Oh, that is a good point. I'm gonna keep that one in mind.
I know, you never think about it until you go through it and you well,
I'm writing it down actually.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
It was difficult too, because I was like, but I want the story in Spanish, and it just wasn't working. I mean, and I even tried to rewrite it, a couple different ways, and I was like, but it's meant to be in rhyme, and it just, I don't know, there were all these difficult things. But so for you, do you have, I always ask everyone who comes on, do you have words of advice for future generations? And this could be for people who want to become a publisher or a writer, or just in general for children.
Yeah, I mean, my greatest advice is to believe in yourself. And, I almost didn't do this because I didn't believe it was possible for me. And I had a lot of people through the years, I think they're called naysayers, who would say, oh, well, if you leave teaching, you're not going to have good health insurance. And how are you going to, like, it's an unknown income. How are you going to pay the bills? And so I think it's important to believe in yourself and to work on your goal every single day. Like, I work on this 7 days a week. Not to say I work every weekend, but I'm definitely working this weekend, but I took off several days this week to go on vacation. So I think, it's definitely something that is possible. Your dreams are possible, and it might take a little extra work. So believe in yourself. That's
such important information for anybody of any age. And believe in yourself, and it's never too late to accomplish your dreams. So Maria, I have had such a great time having you here today. For anyone who would love to check out your books, we will post links to your website for Cardinal Rule Press, and also you have your own individual website, so we'll post both of those. And everyone, please go check out her work. If you are a school and you would like to reach out to her, her authors and her books are incredible. Thank you, Maria, for being here.
Yes, and any questions, please feel free. My email's on my website. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.